Hello everyone and welcome to SpaceyH.Horizons. I am SpaceyH, otherwise known as Hayley, and you are watching my very first YouTube video. I made this channel so that I could start sharing some Animal Crossing New Horizons content with you. I have played Animal Crossing for a number of years and I was so excited when the New Horizons was released last year. But I no longer play the original island I started with because I moved over from a Switch Lite to a Switch, and this was before you could transfer your save data, and I had already obliterated the island to move stuff over to my new Switch. But the dream address for my first island is still available, and I shall be sharing a tour of that island with you very soon. I was feeling really uninspired with my new island, so I decided that I wanted to reset it. And I thought, given that I have been through this process a number of times now, I would share with you the process of resetting and my tips and tricks for getting the perfect island and getting to that 3-star rating needed to unlock KK's visit and for you to be able to start terraforming. So, without further ado, let's talk about those initial choices you make when you reset your island. The first choice you're going to need to make is deciding which map to pick for your island layout. Timmy and Tommy will show you a choice of 4 islands to pick from. You should consider the location of the resident services. Some people like their resident services close to their airport, others like it to be further away. Personally, I try and pick the one that is as central as possible. The other thing you might like to consider is the location of your rhythm mouse. Make sure that you are happy with their location and consider whether they might hinder any builds you had in mind for those areas. I also take a good look at the beaches as well, and taking into consideration the location of the pier and whether the rocks are going to give me space enough to include them in my island design. Another thing you might also like to keep in mind is the location of your secret beach. A lot of people like to make Red a special area for when he visits, so if that's you, check to make sure you are happy with where that is going to be. If you aren't happy with any of the options that you are given, you simply close the game and load back in, as it will not have saved any of the data up until this point. The first thing you're going to see when you land is your airport colour. Now there are 4 colours to choose from: blue, orange, green and yellow. The colour choice matters insofar as there is a specific set of furniture that are related to the airport colours that will become available through the portal in the resident services once the building has been upgraded, and you'll be able to see on screen an image to show which items are locked with the airport colour. Now the remainder of the items tend to come in sets, but this is completely random and you could have many different combinations. This information was discovered by Reddit user PraiseHollow, so credit goes to them for these images. So if you had a specific airport colour you wanted, you can once again close out of the game, reload in and make those choices again, as many times as it takes for you to get your specific airport colour. However, if you're happy with the colour, or you aren't too worried about it, you can always trade for those specific furniture colourways that you want on places like Nook and Discord. So now let's talk about fruit and flowers. Your fruit is completely randomised, but your flower choice depends on the birth month that you put in at the beginning of the game. Now you will see on the screen a chart showing the selection of flowers that are available in the specific months. And you can also use this as a guide to check which flowers will be available for you to buy within your Nook's Cranny in any given month. So if you had a specific flower in mind for your native flower, you would have to make sure that you put in a birthday with the specific month that it is available in. It is then random dependent on the number of flowers that are available in that month. So again, you might still have to reset a couple of times to get the specific flower that you want. This is also different between the northern and southern hemispheres. So I've included both charts for you, and you can also find this information by searching the QR code that I shall put up on screen. The very first thing you will do on the first day of your new island is place your tent and then help your villagers place their tents down. I would recommend trying to fit these onto your beaches, as this makes it easier in terms of keeping your space clear for when you come to start doing builds, and it will save you a few bells as well. Once you've done that and you return to Tom Nook, he will give you a couple of tasks to collect items, and once you get to the point where you go to your tent to sleep and wake up the next day, then you can really start making some progress towards getting towards that 3-star rating. So you wake up on a new day, and the first thing that happens is that Tom Nook gives you your Nook phone, which is really handy because my first tip is making sure that you do as much as you can to get towards those 5,000 miles that you need to be able to start progressing your house. So you'll see the first thing I do is open my camera and take a picture, because immediately this gets me 300 miles. And there are a number of other really simple Nook Miles tasks to do that can get you up to 5,000 miles that you need to pay off your first home. So the next one I do is making a post on the bulletin board, which gives you 300 Nook Miles. You also get 500 Nook Miles just for moving to the island. So you can see now I'm checking the ones I've already unlocked and just collecting those. And I've already got 1,000 Nook Miles, which is a fifth of what we need to pay off the loan. So then the next one I do is changing a custom design, and I literally just put a dot, and that gets me another 500 Nook Miles. Then I go on to edit my passport, and you don't really have to edit it properly. You can simply just take a new photo or put in, a dot in the comments, and you will have unlocked the Nook Miles for that. And as you can see, that's another 300. So already we're nearly at 2,000 miles, and we haven't really even spent 5 minutes in the game. The next Nook Miles that you can unlock really surround things like your trees and your weeds. So if you pick up and sell 50 weeds, you will get another 300 Nook Miles. Also, if you shake your fruit trees and sell 20 pieces of fruit, you will get another 300 Nook Miles. You can also get another 300 just for talking to your villagers. And then with the money that you get from selling the weeds and fruit, you can buy 10 flowers and plant them, and you will unlock another 300. So it's actually really easy to get up to 5,000 miles you need to get your first house upgrade on the very first day. I will put a list in the description of the tasks that I recommend focusing on the first day to get up to your 5,000 miles. It's a good idea to get your house upgrade done as soon as you can, because it will mean that your villagers also upgrade houses, and this counts towards your development score for getting a 3-star rating. So once you have collected enough weeds and fruit, head into resident services and talk to Tom Nook and then to Timmy to sell those items, and then you're able to purchase the flowers for planting, and then go ahead and do the DIY workshop with Tom Nook. Once you have completed that workshop, you can now craft a fishing rod and a net, which will be crucial for the next stage. So now you need to try and catch 5 different bugs or fish to hand over to Tom Nook to trigger your museum building. Okay, so I have slowed this clip down so you can see me catching a wasp. The trick to catching wasps is always shaking the tree from the front, because your character naturally turns in the direction you need to be, and you just have to press A to catch it. Trust me, that way works every time. The other great thing about catching wasps is that they sell for 2,500 bells each, which is great at this stage of the game because we need to be collecting as many bells as we can. So once you've caught any bugs or fish, go and donate them to Tom Nook in the resident services, and he will give you a different reward every time. The first one unlocks the Critterpedia app on your Nook phone, and the second one will unlock the DIY recipe for an axe. Now you're able to start collecting materials in order to make some furniture DIYs and to put towards the Nook's cranny building. And now, as you can see, by crafting those DIYs, I have unlocked enough Nook Miles to pay off my first home loan. And now that that's paid off, I go ahead and select to upgrade my tent to a house. And in doing so, I unlock the Nook Miles Plus program in the Nook Stop portal. After paying off my home loan, I don't have enough miles to purchase anything from the Nook Stop as yet, but the first thing I always purchase is the tool ring, because it is so much easier to access your tools once you have that in place. Okay, so now I'm handing over my last bug or fish to Tom Nook, and this will trigger a call from Blathers, and then Tom Nook will give you the museum tent placement for you to go and sit down. Again, I would recommend trying to get your building on the beach. Clearly you can see here that I was having problems getting it spaced, so I gave up and just put it next to the beach. But in most cases you will be able to fit it. You just have to find the right spot. So, as you can see, I am starting a new day with my tent upgraded to the first house. Try and ignore the little visitor that I have there. Essentially, you just want to continue playing through the days, doing as much as you can, as early as you can, in order to get to the point where you could unlock KK's visit. The earliest point for this to happen in-game is on your 13th day on the island. I will leave a link in the description to a walkthrough of what you can get done on each day to ensure that you're making your maximum progress. But I'm now going to move on to talk about the island evaluations and how those scores are calculated. Island evaluations are calculated on a points-based system, and this is split up into two categories. You will get points for your island scenery, which will give you points for the number of DIY furniture items you have, and also points for any plant life growing on your island. The second category is island development, and these are points based around non-DIY furniture, buildings and other infrastructure like bridges and inclines. These points are calculated on an 8x8 block basis, and as you can see, I have marked out the size of the area so that you can visualize it a bit better. You will notice on your map the grid lines, and these are actually 16 by 16 blocks. So there are 4 8x8 squares in each of those 16 by 16 blocks on your map. You should keep in mind that it is only the furniture items that are calculated in these blocks. Any plant life is scored individually regardless of the placement. Also, any furniture placed that is overlapping two of these blocks will count for points for each one. So don't get too caught up designing in these square areas. Just be free with your designing, and you will probably find that you get extra points here and there for any overlapping items. In order to get a 3-star rating, you need 160 to 399 development points, or 270 to 349 scenery points. The final rating is calculated based on the lower of your two scores along with the number of residents you have. It's worth noting that you have to have 8 or more residents to be able to get over a 2-star rating. So, looking at plant life, you will get 1 point for each fully grown tree that you have on your island, up to a maximum of 190 points. And you will also get 1 point for every adult flower that you have. If you have newly growing flowers or flowers that have been picked, you still get points, but these are calculated at lower than 1 point each. So I tend to keep all the trees and flowers that were naturally occurring on my island and only add more up until the point that I reach that 3-star rating. So in terms of the DIY furniture, you will get 1 point for each unique piece of furniture that you place down. You can also earn additional points for whether you have 4 or less different types of furniture. Plus, if you have between 5 and 10 different types, you will again earn bonus points. And in terms of types, these are things like chairs, tables, wardrobes. It's not necessarily the same types that are counted when you're talking about your home evaluations. So I will place up on screen how these bonuses are calculated and some example calculations just to demonstrate what I mean. But don't get too caught up in trying to calculate what a certain area of your island is going to score. Just keep these principles in mind, that you need to include lots of different types of furniture, and it's good to have unique items rather than placing the same item over and over again. There are some things that can negatively impact your score. If you have too many items in an 8x8 block, it will count as clutter because you and your villagers need to be able to roam around the area freely. So if you have more than 45 items in an 8x8 block, this will negatively impact your score. Additionally, if you have items dropped on the floor, such as DIYs or like flooring or wallpaper, this will count as littering and will also negatively impact your score. This is not affected, however, by things that naturally occur on the ground, such as seashells, tree branches, stones, mushrooms, or star fragments. So they are fine to include in your decoration. Turning to your development score, you will again earn 1 point for each piece of non-DIY furniture that you have placed. And again, you will earn a bonus if there are unique types of these furnitures. You will also earn a bonus here if the type of furniture you are placing is designed for outdoor use. And additionally, you will also get a bonus if the item is worth between 2,000 and 20,000 bells, and an additional bonus if it is worth over 20,000 bells. Making sure your island is tidy by picking up weeds also counts towards your development score. Additionally, for every building you have built, you will gain 15 points. So you're able to earn 15 points for your museum, Nook's Cranny and Able Sisters. And additionally, you will get 15 points per bridge or incline that you build. I usually try and build 2 bridges so that I can access all areas across my island, and then at least 1 incline. So I'll do a quick pass through my island to show you the sort of decoration that I have placed. It doesn't have to be particularly pretty at this moment, you just need to get enough furniture items out to get your score up to that threshold to earn a 3-star rating. Okay, I hope you found this video helpful, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. You can also contact me on my socials, which are listed in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks very much for watching. Bye!